Good afternoon, viewers, if you are viewing. I'm not narcissistic because, and I'm not doing this for ego because I don't care who's watching. It's just my point of view. I think there's a channel change in there. Alright, I was going to do two lives, but I'm going to combine all this into one, I think. Just regarding fitting the criteria. Now, an ex-friend of mine, I'll say his name, Mark Allison, booked himself in for a COVID jab. And when he went along to this COVID jab, okay, he's anti-COVID anyway, but when he went along to this COVID jab, he was told that he wasn't allowed in because he didn't fit the criteria. What criteria is that, may you ask? Well, he didn't want to sanitize his hands, apparently, or I think he did sanitize his hands. I've not seen the video, but he's exempt from wearing a face mask. Now, this is where it gets a bit grey, because you can. I don't know how you. I've not booked in for my jab whatsoever, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to sell my soul out based on the next part of this video. So, you know, to fit the criteria. What is the criteria to get yourself immunised against COVID-19? Well, apparently, the criteria is that you must wear a mask to enter into a COVID vaccination centre. Well, yeah, you must enter into a COVID vaccination centre with a mask on. Now, this is where masks become grey areas, because I'll tell you why. Because if you, for example, claim yourself to be exempt from mask wearing, for whatever reason you may have, and then you go and get your COVID jab but then put a mask on, my question is, are you actually exempt? And the answer would be, no, you're not. Exemption means you don't wear a mask whatsoever, because it causes alarm, distress, and, you know, affects with some sort of mental health issue you may have. Okay, that's the exemption for not wearing a mask, is mental health, or it causes alarm and distress, or if you are physically incapable of putting on and removing a mask, that would make you exempt. Okay, these are based on government guidelines. So if, for example, you claim exemption, but then go to your COVID vaccination centre and display your mask, you are not exempt. You are then taking the proverbial out of, you're taking the mick, basically. And that's what really grinds my coffee. Now, the next thing, which a few people would be quite happy with, is I've just read that COVID passports are going to be required to enter pubs, clubs and restaurants. This, again, is a criteria-fitting thing. So this is discriminatory. This is where discrimination comes into play. So you can't have the COVID jab if you don't have a mask. That's discrimination against hidden disabilities. Okay? If you are one of these people that want to get the COVID vaccine and you are exempt for whatever reason, you can't get the vaccine because you don't have a mask on. Okay? That's discrimination against you as an individual with a disability. Okay? Now, the next thing is they are going to discriminate against people, and again, it all comes down to fitting the criteria. People who have not had the vaccine, by making them have the vaccine if they want to go to socialise. Okay? Now, this contravenes, you're upstairs. I'm doing this stuff down here, right, because means turn my office into a boudoir. This contravenes the Equality Act, the Human Rights Act, to the freedom of association. Okay? So we are now not allowed to associate with people that have had the vaccine and people that haven't had it. This is a contravene of that Human Rights Act. Now, Mindy's just said that, you know, I did say a few months ago that they would start doing this. However, Boris Johnson himself, not only a few weeks ago, has said that yes, the passport is going to be used for overseas travel. Fair enough. I understand that. I get that. But the reason the passport's being brought in for pubs, clubs and restaurants is to encourage more youngsters to get vaxxed. And it's going to happen this autumn. So, anybody that can't prove they've had a vaccine, as in fitting the criteria to go for a pint, are going to be discriminated against. Your vaccine's not down, you're not coming in. This is taking discrimination to the next level, and I did say this would happen. I have said this would happen. We are now having our human rights breached because we are not allowed to do certain things. However, this is where you've got to say to yourself, from a pub, club and restaurant point of view, are you willing to stand there and say to somebody, basically what you are going to be saying is you can't enter this establishment unless you've had a vaccine. So you as an individual will then be forcing other people to go and get vaccinated. Now, here's where it becomes tricky. If I want to enter your establishment, and in order to do so, I have to get vaccinated. You tell me I've got to get vaccinated. If I have any adverse side effects to this vaccine, I would personally hold you responsible. Not the person that implements the rules, not the people from above. I would hold the individual personally responsible. Okay, and this is where discrimination at its best. That's like saying this is where it's going to go into. And I've said this in videos before. I need to upload more videos really, because the other channel got. And I did say it's going to be a little bit like racism. Not racism, but a little bit like racism. It's going to be vaxism. I've coined that phrase, I've coined that word, that's my word now. Anybody who wants to use it, it's £1 per time. Copywritten. This is vaxism. So you're going to be discriminated against because you've not had a vaccine. This is discrimination at its best. This is like saying to somebody, you can't come into the establishment because you don't fit the criteria. You can't come into the establishment because you're bald. We don't allow beards in here. We don't allow anybody over the weight of 12 stone in here. This is the world we are now living in. And Boris Johnson did say, that's what I was going to say. He did say not a few weeks ago that yes, for European travel, vaccine passports would be needed. I get that because of the so-called variants that are coming in. He also said that we would not be introducing passports for things such as going for a pint. This is a contradiction. Seriously. If you refuse me entry to any of your establishments based on not having a vaccine, I will sue you for discrimination. I will push the proceedings for discrimination, and I will sue you as an individual, and I will also sue the establishment, as in the company. So for example, if I go to a Chinese restaurant, I will sue the people that are managing that place at that point in time, and I will also sue the people that own the place at that point in time. because this is now being discriminative. This isn't a law. This isn't a law right now at all. There is no law saying that you have to do this. Until it becomes law, then you are breaking the law. You are breaking the law because you are discriminating against, or you will be discriminated against, people that don't want to be vaccinated with whatever it might be. So you are breaking the law. And as such, you will be prosecuted. And I will quite happily prosecute you. I'm gonna have to read up on discrimination and stuff like that, because this is now getting out of hand. Okay, I've not been live, like I said, I've not been live for a while. I've sort of stepped away from it a little bit, or not had anything to really talk about, even though there has been a lot to talk about. But I wanted to just throw it out there that this is now affecting, it's going to affect people, it's going to affect individuals. Okay. You can't abide by these rules. You can't do it. If you do, as an establishment or manager of an establishment, you have zero morals. You've got zero morals. I'm going to find the law once it eventually comes out. It's going to be autumn time. Once it eventually comes out, and if there is no law saying regarding vaccines, then you personally are actually breaking the law. They are supposedly doing away with the QR codes. They're going to be a voluntary thing as of the 19th of this month, July. They're going to be a voluntary thing. They're also saying to do away with masks. However, I've also read that 70% of the UK, which is pretty much everyone that's been vaccinated, for the first dose at least, has said they want to see masks mandatory on public transport and in shops. Wrong. Sorry, wrong. So when I say about all these people fighting the fight, these freedom fighters, you've lost it already. This is now an individual thing. This is now an every man for themselves kind of thing. So the question you got to ask yourself now is, do you fit the criteria to walk out of your front freaking door? Chances are, some people that do not want to be vaccinated, and this is where it becomes just rubbish. Any vaccine that has to be forced, or has to become mandatory, or has to have some kind of rules that if you don't do this, you can't do this, that's not a vaccine. What that is this isn't going to go on YouTube because I don't need this channel taken down. That's not a vaccine. What that is that's a control and comply thing. It's exactly what that is. I've been told also that there's certain industries that are not really forcing it right now, but they probably will in the future. Right now, it's just an option. So it's impossible. And this is what's going to grind my coffee, and this is where I'm going to get angry. It's impossible for the government to sit there and say, well, it's not mandatory, we are just offering it to people. But you're not offering it. You are making people take it. Now, I, for one, will not be selling out my soul for the sake of a pint. I won't do it. I will not be selling my soul for the sake of going to the Costa del freaking Sol. Not going to do it. I'm not going to sell my soul so I can go sit at McDonald's and have a Big Mac. what this is gonna do, because let's be honest, where do people go to socialise? Pubs, clubs, restaurants. Well, go stand in the park. Give that to the park. So you're telling me that the only social I can have is in the park. You're telling me the only social I can have is outdoors. That's the only time I'm allowed to socialise. Same, I'm not doing it either. Good for you, Jason. But like I said, dude, the fight's lost, you know. We're going to become a minority as opposed to a majority. You know, we're going to be the people that are left out in the cold. Think about Demolition Man, right? We're going to be the scraps. We're going to be the people that aren't allowed to socialise. We're not allowed in pubs. We're not allowed in clubs. We're not allowed in restaurants. We're going to be the people that are not so much living underground, but living in our own little boxes we call houses. And the only time we're allowed out is probably for 1 hour a day to socialise. And that's probably going to be, come to a point where you have to book that in as well with somebody. So the whole track and trace system is going to be not a mandatory thing. The QR code is going to be an optional thing. And I believe that I've read that Boris has said that he doesn't want people to delete the app once the 19th comes. All right, fair enough. I've sort of been using the app, but it doesn't do anything. It just tells the system that my device was there. The other thing with these writing down track and trace, when you write down your details, that's not mandatory. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. That's not a law. And then if you're going to quote it as a law, you got to tell me under what act it's you know, don't give me this Coronavirus Act of 2020. It's not going to wash. What law is being broken by me not giving you my phone number? Because I was watching a video this morning, Buzz Text. If you're not subscribed to Buzz Text, get on to Buzz Text. And he walked into a library, and the woman said, you know, you're not wearing a face mask. Like, I'm exempt. It's like, fair enough. Can I have your details for track and trace? He says, well, what do you need? Well, I need a name. I need a phone. I need a name, either or, a phone number of landline or mobile, or your address. Okay, so you walk into these places to fit the criteria. You have to then give out your details to somebody on the door that's not hiding these details. So these details aren't kept safe during the day. They might be kept safe in a safe during the evening or whenever. But these details are just there for everyone to see. So I walk into a library and I give out my name, false. I give out my my address, false. And that's all they require for track and trace. Now, here's the thing with that. If somebody in that vicinity has contracted COVID or has tested positive for COVID, and I've only given my address, the track and trace system then are going to write to me, because I'm not giving my phone number, they're going to write to me, which is going to take 2 or 3 days for it to happen, even longer. In that time, I've probably transmitted it to a lot of other people as well. So that's why the track and trace system is flawed. There is a flaw there. Track and trace should be your name and your phone number. Not an address, not just an address, but your name and your phone number. And these details must be kept safe. If these details are given out to a third party, or a third party has these details, like I've been to place where they do track and trace and they write it down, and it's just visible. It's like, well, that person's phone number, I can see that. I could have screenshotted that. I could have taken a picture of that, and I could have sent that out to the whole world. You are then in breach of Public Information Act because you don't have a secure system. But this is all about discrimination. Discrimination. And that's exactly what this is. No, this is probably going on YouTube as discrimination, fitting the criteria. So this thing of fitting the criteria, if you are going to abide by these rules, you are going to be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Because you are then getting into the area of discrimination. In fact, I think I'm going to look up. I'm going to have a look at discrimination rules and laws today. You're in breach of that. You're also in breach of human rights, which is the right to associate. So association is going out there and associating with other people. So you're in breach of that. Steve, get to class. 7:15 Thursday evenings, we've changed it. You're in breach of that, and that's where you're going to be on thin ice, very thin ice, because not only will the company be liable, but you as a manager will also be liable. Why? Because you should not be giving out medical information. Now, medical information is go and get vaccinated. That's medical information. You're not qualified to go and tell somebody to get vaccinated. It's like I watched a video the other day about a guy outside a vaccine centre, and he was telling people to take, he said, well, all I say to people is just take a paracetamol beforehand, take one afterwards. He should not be giving out that sort of information. He's not allowed to do that. Even first aiders, people that are training first aid, are not allowed to give out medical. They're not allowed to give out medicine. They're not allowed to do that. But this guy's telling people, take a paracetamol. All right, I'll take your advice, sunshine. I'll take a paracetamol so my arm doesn't hurt because you've said so. But then I have an adverse reaction to paracetamol because you've advised me on that, and I've ended up in hospital. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to give out medical. You're not allowed to give out medical information unless you're a qualified practitioner. So you're breaching that. So here's the thing. I don't know how much it's going to stand up, but number one, they'll be breaking discrimination laws. Number two, what they'll be doing is giving out medical information that could potentially harm you. Now, for that to happen, they will be held liable. And I would say that upon entering any kind of establishment, I would say from this point forwards, I would say record. Have it on camera and record. Okay? Because that's what I'll be doing. Every time I walk into an establishment now, I will be recording. But you can't record on private property. You can record inside a building if it is a public building and there is public access. Okay? And for any buildings that I have also recorded in previous, they really can't tell me to stop recording now. Yes, I'm smarmy. Okay, so discrimination, fitting the criteria. Got to wear a face mask if you're going to go for a vaccine. Apparently, that's what I've been told. That's what. So if you want to check it out. I don't know if he did a video or something on it, but Mark Allison. I'm not a big fan of this guy. I'm not a big fan of any of the conspiracy crazies, frankly. But this I'm with. Okay, I'm not a big fan of him, but I'm with him on this. All right, I'll because this is wrong. Okay, so if I wanted to get a vaccine, I book in, go to the vaccine centre. You got to wear a mask. Sorry, I'm exempt. Well, you don't fit the criteria then. If I say I'm exempt from mask wearing, and I go out there and I say publicly I'm exempt from mask wearing, but in the next breath, I then put on a mask, I am no longer exempt. I am then taking the piss, out of mask wearing. I've never worn one. I'm lying. I'm lying. I wore one to see my dead brother. So I'm exempt. It was stressful anyway. So yeah, you know, if in one breath you say you're exempt, and the next breath you sort of saying, yeah, well, I'm going to wear one just so that I can have a jab. You're not exempt anymore. Because it's amazing these days how many people are actually now claiming exemption from wearing a mask. It makes me chuckle. It makes me chuckle. When all the time I got grief for not wearing a mask. But they're going to be null and void soon. You know, you don't have to wear one. I think it's going to be left open to your own interpretation. So yeah, so you can record everything that you do now. Wherever any place you enter, have your camera on. Just have it recording. If somebody says turn your camera off, why? Because you're in a private place. You're on private property. And this is where the wording becomes a little bit crazy. Well, I am not on private property if I am in a public house. That's what pub's short for, public house. Open to members of the public. I'm not breaking any rules there by recording. And the difference between and when people say, well, I've checked the CCTV, right? This is the difference between CCTV and an actual phone recording. CCTV does not pick up sound. CCTV does not pick up a conversation. Whereas if I've got my phone in front of me, I can hear and see everything that not only I'm saying, but what the other person's saying as well. CCTV doesn't do that. I had this argument a few years ago with a guy that I kicked off in a pub, and you know they were going to bar me, and he said, "Well, I've got you on CCTV doing this." I said, "Right." I said, "So if I walked in here, started talking to you, calling your mum, your father, your girlfriend, your sister, all these names, and totally slagging you off in a calm manner, and you hit me, what would your CCTV show? Your CCTV would show that you were the instigator." Well, yeah, I suppose you're right. No, I am right. After next Monday, where do we stand if shops, pubs insist that you have to have a mask on to enter their premises? They can't insist that. They can't insist because of clinical exemption. Based on government guidelines, this is the thing with shops, pubs, clubs. This is the thing with the mask wearing thing. These people that have policies think that their policies supersede government guidelines. Now, what I will do is I'll go onto the government website and I'll post what the government guideline is as of next Monday for mask wearing. And I'll tag you in it. In fact, I'll do a live on it, just for the fun of it. So they can't insist whatsoever. Because what that then does is that, again, is discrimination. It's discrimination against disability. All right, and that would then go back to the point of, you know, asking a guy in a wheelchair to prove that he needs a wheelchair. Can't do that. Disability is a disability, whether it's hidden or not. And the thing with mental health is it's a hidden disability. So by them insisting on you wearing a mask in a pub, shop, or whatever, that then causes you alarm and distress. You then need to be on the phone straight away to the police, saying that you are, number one, being discriminated against. You feel alarmed and distressed. and then the police would be on your side. Well, they should be on your side. It's like what I did with Aldi. What I should have done is I should have called the police first and said, "Look, I'm in Aldi. I'm distressed. I'm being surrounded by people that are insisting on this. I feel intimidated right now." Not that I did. I feel intimidated right now. I need help. They're then on your side. But what I did was I said to Aldi, "Call the police. You call them." So they're then on his side. All right, so they can't insist on you wearing a mask. They are breaking the law. Discrimination and disability. Discrimination against disability. Plus, they are not following government guidelines. Government guidelines, if you're going to follow one set of government guidelines, i.e. for mask wearing, then you need to follow the government guidelines for non-mask wearing also. You can't say, well, the government guidelines say this at the top, but half a page down, it also says this. But you've only read the top and taken that. You can't do that. So my advice is have a look at the government guidelines as of Monday and see what they say. Screenshot it on your phone. That way you can then walk into a shop. Some people have got two mobile phones these days, one for recording, one just to show, you know. You can then walk into a premises and you can say, look, this is the government guideline. You are now in breach of government guidelines. Now, this is the thing. They are only guidelines. They're not laws. There's no law saying you have to wear a mask. Masks are not mandatory. If they were, then everybody would be wearing them and you'd be fined for not wearing them. Just like, for example, it is mandatory and law to drive on the left side of the road. If you fail to do so, you will, one, cause an accident and two, be fined or lose your license or whatever. There will be consequences. With anything that's a law or something that's mandatory, if you break those, there will be consequences. All right, whatever it might be. There has to be. Whereas not wearing a mask, there are no consequences. And like I've said before, if you're in a room with 1,000 people and 999 people have got a mask on and they're chanting to you, put your mask on, why should they matter? Why should that matter? You know, they're protected. So why should that matter? Now, I'm not saying don't wear a mask. I'm not saying wear a mask. I'm saying if it makes you feel better about this pandemic, if getting a vaccination makes you feel better about this pandemic, go and do it. But my point of this video, YouTube, just because YouTube are going to be watching, is that you cannot discriminate against somebody for one, non-mask wearing, and two, non-vaxxed. You can't do it. It's maskism and vaxism is what it is. It's borderline racism. Because you're not fitting the criteria that's required. You know, all these people, you see all the, this is the, all right, X Factor and The Voice, right? X Factor judge people based on how they look first. This was a thing, you know. I can remember Paul Potts. Paul Potts walked in, teeth weren't all great, chubby guy, ex-phone salesman, walked in. Simon Cowell's first impression, you can find this on YouTube, was, oh God, he's going to be rubbish. Ne sendorma. Voice of an angel, man. But was discriminated straight away based on how he looked. That's wrong. He was prejudged. Now, The Voice don't do that. The Voice just hear a voice. And this is why I think this programme is actually slightly better than, I mean, you get some crazes on the X Factor, but I think this programme is actually slightly better because they're judging people based on what they can hear, not based on how they look. And they even turn around and say, well, looking at you now, dude, I've got a bad voice. Ne se dorma. Ne se dorma. It's not bad. But this, I don't profess to. Mindy, why are you laughing? Because you can probably hear me upstairs, probably in stereo. So yeah, the prejudging, you can't prejudge. You're not allowed to do that. I've been in shops where, the Aldi thing. I said to the old guy in Aldi, I'm like, dude, I'm exempt. I've got a disability. Well, you don't look disabled. Seriously, are you for real, man? I mean, what do you want me to do? What is it you want me to do? Jump off the bridge and prove to you that I've got mental illness? Show you how disabled I actually am then? Jump in front of a car because I want to kill myself? Show you how disabled I am then? This is the thing with disabilities, is you cannot prejudge. You should never, ever prejudge. Just because somebody doesn't fit the visual criteria doesn't mean to say they don't fit the criteria. Yeah, I'm going to throw this on YouTube, see what happens. They can only give me one strike. So yeah, that's basically it. As information comes out, I'll do lives on these things, and see what happens. But like I say, any establishment cannot force you to wear a mask. The reason is because it's a case of, right, okay, I'm going to go into your establishment because I'm a free person. I'm going into a public place. I'm allowed to do so. By you saying to me, I need to wear a mask, now you've got two choices. You can either have me calm right now and abiding by the rules of your establishment, or put a mask on and I'll just flip out and start assaulting people. You can then deal with my anxiety attacks, etc., etc., etc. Which would you prefer? Well, I prefer you to wear a mask. Right, so you prefer me, as an individual, to be alarmed and distressed for your safety when you are wearing a mask and you have been double vaxxed. Where's the logic in that? There is none. There is none. So yeah, they can't discriminate against that. They also can't discriminate against you not being vaccinated. Again, it's breach of human rights. It's in breach of discrimination, and as such, these people should be held accountable. They should be held accountable, whether that be, okay, well, I've got it on camera. I am now going to proceed this and take this to court, because you are making me. You as a person are making... Well, no, I'm following the rules. No. You are making me go and get vaccinated. And if I have any adverse side effects to that, or now you're causing me alarm and distress because you're making a scene for me, I'm taking you to court. I'll see you in court. That sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't know how far it would go. I don't even know if this information's right. This is just my opinion. This is just what I would do. This is just what I would do. So... don't be discriminated against. Live your life. But this is the way it's coming. So next Monday, I'll do a live based on the rules and regulations of what you can expect. All right, I'm going to love you and leave you. This will get uploaded to the channel under under fitting the criteria / discrimination. All right, I want to see what YouTube have got to say about it. Other than that, leave your comments below. Give us a like. Go to the channel, The Bearded Opinion. Let me know. See you soon.